Three women thought they knew exactly what they were doing. They were wrong about each other. They were wrong about the man. And every single one of them was wrong about her. The quiet one. The one who never asked for anything. The one who sat in every room for 7 years and said nothing while she watched everything. She had one secret that would unravel all three of them. And she waited. Patiently. Quietly. Until the exact right moment to use it. What she did with that secret will make you question every friendship you have ever trusted. What happened to all three of them after, you will not see coming. Stay. Because in 60 minutes you are going to watch loyalty, betrayal and greed destroy three women who thought they were untouchable. And the one left standing at the end is the last one you would ever bet on. Victor Cole was 34 years old and had never once in his adult life been asked for directions. Not because he looked intimidating. Because he looked expensive. The kind of expensive that makes strangers step slightly to the side on the pavement. The kind that makes shop assistants appear without being called. He had grown up watching his father build a logistics company from a single van and a mobile phone. He had watched it become 2 vans. Then a depot. Then 3 depots across 2 cities. Then a company with a name on the side of lorries that people passed on motorways without ever wondering who owned them. Victor had inherited the company at 31 when his father died in a hospital room alone, with a nurse who did not know his name. He had also inherited his father's money, his father's reputation, and his father's loneliness. The loneliness was the part no one saw. From the outside, Victor Cole had everything. The penthouse on the 23rd floor. The car. The watch with the face so clean it looked like it had never touched a real day in its life. The friends who appeared at parties and disappeared when the bill arrived. He had been in 3 relationships in the last 5 years. Each one had ended the same way. Not with a fight. With a slow realization that the woman beside him was in love with a version of him that did not exist. The version made of money and status and the lifestyle those things produced. Not Victor. The idea of Victor. He had tried to explain this to his solicitor once, late on a Thursday evening when the office had emptied and the honesty came easier than it usually did. His solicitor had said, "Then stop letting them find out about the money first." And that was how the test was born.
Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Before you go any further, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from and what time it is in your part of the world.
3 months. A basement apartment near the clinic where a woman named Joy worked 12-hour shifts. A gray shirt. A cheap watch to replace the expensive one. A story about a collapsed business that was close enough to the truth to be comfortable. He moved in on a Tuesday. He placed his phone face down on the concrete floor. And he waited to find out who he actually was when the money was not in the room with him. Joy closed the clinic at 5 minutes past 6. She was the last one out. She was always the last one out. The other receptionists left at 5. Some days at 4:30 if the doctor was not watching. Joy stayed because staying meant overtime and overtime meant money and money meant her mother stayed alive 1 more week in a hospital 3,000 miles away. She locked the glass door, tugged it twice to be sure and walked to her car. A 2014 Honda with a bumper held on by silver tape that had long since turned the color of the bumper itself. The car had a scar and had learned to live with it. Joy did not complain about the car. She did not complain about the 12-hour shifts. She had learned a long time ago that complaining was a luxury. It meant you believed someone was listening. Joy had stopped believing that when she was 15 and her father walked out the door and did not look back. Mercy lived on the 3rd floor of a building with a gym no one used, and a pool that was always closed for maintenance. The gym had treadmills that faced a wall. The pool had a sign that said closed for the season and every season. But the lobby smelled like lemon and fresh flowers, and that was always enough. Mercy opened the door wearing a silk robe and a green face mask and the particular expression of a woman who had decided that the evening was going to be about her. 7 years. Joy, Mercy, and Jane had been friends for 7 years. 7 years of birthdays and breakups and borrowed money and secrets whispered on gray sofas. 7 years of dinners where Mercy talked and Jane listened and Joy paid. 7 years of not fully seeing what was right in front of them. Jane was in the kitchen chopping cucumbers with the quiet focus of someone who did not need to be noticed to be present. That was Jane in 3 words. Did not need to be noticed. She had grown up behind Mercy's brightness. Same town. Same church. Same school. Every room they entered together, Mercy was the sun and Jane was the window, present, useful, necessary, but rarely the thing people looked directly at. Jane had stopped being angry about this a long time ago, or so everyone believed. Mercy poured wine into 3 glasses. She sat on the gray sofa. She crossed her legs. I met someone, she said. Joy set down her glass. Jane stopped chopping. Who? I don't know his name yet, but I saw his car. Black. German. The good kind. You're basing this on a car? I'm basing this on the car, and the way he held the door for me at the supermarket. He looked at me like I was the most important thing in the room. Men with bad cars don't look at you like that. Joy looked at her wine. She thought, that kind of looking never lasts. She did not say it, because that was not what friends did. Joy was walking to her car 3 days later when she found the note. It was tucked under the windscreen wiper. Handwritten. Neat letters on the back of a receipt. You left your scarf near the clinic door. I have it. My name is Vic. I live in the basement unit below. Let me know when to bring it up. And a number. Joy stood beside her car for a long moment. She looked at the note. She looked at the building. She thought about the scarf blue. Her mother had given it to her before the hospital, before the illness, before the phone calls that cost too much and lasted too little. She thought about the stories her mother had told her about strangers and basements and doors that should not be opened. Then she folded the note and put it in her pocket. She walked to the staircase. She went down. The light at the bottom of the stairs was flickering. On, off, like a heartbeat that had not decided whether to keep going. He was standing in the doorway of the basement unit. His shirt was gray, the collar soft from too many washes. His shoes had been white once. His watch was old, the band worn leather, the face clean. The kind of watch you did not notice unless you knew watches. If you knew watches, you would understand that it had cost more than the car parked outside. But Vic was not wearing it to be noticed. His eyes were the kind that had seen money. Not the hunger for it. The tiredness of it. You're Joy, he said. And you're Vic. He held out the blue scarf. She took it. You work at the clinic? Reception. 12 hours. 6 days. That's a lot. That's survival. He smiled. Not a large smile. The kind that says, I understand something about you that I am not ready to say yet. She should have asked how he had gotten her number. She did not ask. She should have left. She did not leave. Because there was something about him that did not ask for anything. And Joy was exhausted by people who asked for everything. Her mother asked for money. Her boss asked for time. Mercy asked for attention. Here was a man in a basement who had simply knocked on a door and returned a scarf. She sat on the edge of his one chair for 20 minutes. They talked about nothing important. And when she left, she walked up the stairs feeling something she could not immediately name. Not romantic. Not yet. Just, that man is real. The girls' night 3 days later was Mercy's idea. They always were. Joy almost said no. But Jane texted. Mercy is in a mood. Please come. I can't do it alone. So Joy went. The apartment smelled like takeout and expensive perfume. Mercy was pacing. A dress that cost more than Joy's rent. A week's worth of frustration looking for somewhere to land. He didn't call, Mercy said. The man with the German car? His name is Victor. I found him on Instagram. He follows 300 people. 290 are women. That's a red flag, Joy said. Mercy looked at her the way Mercy always looked at her when Joy said something inconvenient. A rich man follows beautiful women. That's not a flag. That's a Tuesday. I met someone, Joy said. Both women turned. A man. He lives in the basement of my building. His name is Vic. A basement. Mercy's voice tilted upward at the end. A question wearing the clothes of a judgment. His business collapsed. He's there temporarily. The room went quiet. Mercy sat down. She folded her arms. She looked at Joy the way a person looks at something they have not yet decided whether to take. So let me understand this. You are interested in a man who lives in a basement, has no car, no business, no money, and his name is Vic. Maybe he's nice, Jane said quietly. Everyone looked at Jane. Jane rarely spoke. Nice doesn't pay for this, Mercy said. She gestured at the apartment. The candles. The wine. The dress. Joy stood up to leave. Go home to your basement, Prince, Mercy said. Jane watched Joy go. Then she turned to Mercy. I can find out more about him, Jane said. If you want. Mercy smiled. Good girl. Jane's face did not change. But something behind her eyes shifted. A door opened. A door that would not close again for a very long time. 3 days after the girls' night, Vic knocked on Joy's door. He was holding 2 cups of coffee from the gas station down the street. I don't know how you take it. So I got 1 black and 1 with milk. You didn't have to. I know. She let him in. Her apartment was small. Clean. A photograph of her mother on the wall above the sofa. A stack of unopened bills on the kitchen counter. The sofa sagged in the middle. Her mother's sofa, kept because she could not afford a new one and could not afford to throw this one away. She sat on it every night and remembered. He sat on the sofa. She sat in the chair across from him. Can I ask you something? He said. You just did. He smiled. Can I borrow some money? The room became very quiet. Joy had been asked for money before. By her mother. By her father before he left. By a cousin who never paid back. By Mercy once, for an emergency that turned out to be a handbag. But no one had ever asked her the way Vic asked. Quietly. Honestly. Like the asking itself cost him something. Joy looked at him. She looked at the bills on the counter. She thought about her mother. About the tape on her bumper. Then she stood up. She walked to the kitchen. She opened the drawer where she kept her tips. The coins and small notes from patients who said keep the change. She counted out $40. She had $112 in that drawer. 40 was almost a third. 40 was a week of groceries. 40 was the streaming service she did not have. 40 was everything she could spare and a little bit more. She walked back to him. She placed the money in his hand. This is all I can give you right now. He looked at the money. He looked at her face. Why? He asked. Because you asked. And because you brought me coffee. He closed his hand around the bills. No performance. No thank you speech. No look designed to make her feel generous. He just said, I'll pay it back. And he meant it. She did not know that, of course. She had given money to too many people who had not paid it back. But she had stopped giving because she expected return. She gave because giving was who she was. Her mother had taught her that without ever meaning to. Her mother, who had nothing, had given Joy everything. He left 10 minutes later. At the door he paused. Your friend Mercy. Does she always ask before she takes? Joy blinked. What do you mean? Nothing. Good night, Joy. He closed the door. Joy stood in her small apartment for a long time after, turning that sentence over. She had never mentioned Mercy. Mercy threw a party on Saturday. She called it a small gathering. 40 people. A caterer. A photographer who followed her around like a shadow with a lens. Joy almost did not go. But Jane called at 4 in the afternoon. Please. I need someone to talk to. Mercy has been strange all week. So Joy went. She stood in front of her wardrobe for 20 minutes. She chose the blue dress. The one from the wedding 2 years ago. The one she had worn when she still believed in happy endings. She arrived at 8. The apartment was already full. People she did not know. People who laughed too loud and held their wine glasses like proof of something. And there by the window stood Vic. White shirt. Sleeves rolled up. Talking to a man in a suit like a man who had been to 100 rooms exactly like this one. Joy stopped walking. You came, he said. Jane asked me to. Jane asks a lot of people to do a lot of things. Before Joy could ask what that meant, Mercy appeared. Gold dress. Perfume that filled the room like a decision. She placed her hand on Vic's arm. Easy. Familiar. Like she had done it 100 times. Vic and I had the most wonderful dinner. Did he tell you? No, Joy said. He didn't. It was just dinner, Vic said. Of course it was. For now. The DJ changed the song. People moved toward the makeshift dance floor. Mercy was pulled away. And Vic stepped closer to Joy. She's trying to hurt you, he said. Quietly. So only she could hear. I know. Why do you let her? Because she's my friend. Vic shook his head. Slowly. That's not friendship. That's surrender. He walked away. Toward the back of the apartment. Joy stood alone in the middle of Mercy's party in her blue dress from a wedding 2 years ago, holding a glass of water she did not want, knowing he was right and hating that she knew it. An hour later, the party got louder. Mercy had been drinking differently. Not slowly. Faster. The practice control gone. She found Joy near the balcony. You think I don't see it, Mercy said. See what? You. Him. The poor receptionist and the basement man. Very romantic. Very pathetic. People were turning. Looking. The conversations nearby had gone quiet. Mercy. You're drunk. I'm honest. There's a difference. Mercy stepped closer. The gold dress caught the light. He's not for you, Joy. You drive a car held together by tape. You send every spare dollar to a mother who doesn't even remember your name half the time. The room went still. Joy's hands began to shake. Don't, Joy said. Quietly. Don't what? Tell the truth? Someone has to. You walk around like a saint. Like the rest of us owe you something because you're poor and sad, Anne. The voice that cut through the room was not loud. But it stopped everything. Enough. Vic. He stood between them. He did not touch either of them. He did not need to. You asked me to dinner because you thought I had money. You invited me here to see if Joy would break. And now you are standing in front of 40 people attacking a woman who has never once said a bad word about you. Pause. That is not confidence, Mercy. That is cruelty. The DJ stopped. The photographer lowered the camera. Mercy stared at Vic. Her mouth opened. Closed. No words came. She turned. She walked to her bedroom. The door closed too hard. The music started again. People looked away. The party continued. But something had broken. And every person in that room felt it. Joy walked out. Not running. Walking. Through the crowd. Past the photographer. Out the door and into the quiet of the hallway. She leaned against the wall and pressed her palms against her eyes. On the third-floor landing, someone called her name. She stopped. She did not turn. Vic came down the stairs behind her. I'm sorry, he said. You didn't do anything. I started this. All of it. She turned. What did you say? He looked at her for a long moment. The flickering light. The concrete stairs. The city noise coming in from somewhere far below. I'm not broke, Joy. I'm not broken. My name is Victor Cole. My family owns a logistics company. 3 cities. 2 countries. I have more money than Mercy has ever seen. Joy was very still. I moved into that basement because I wanted to find someone who would love me without any of that. Without the car. The watch. The lifestyle. I wanted to know who was real. And Joy's voice was barely above a breath. And you gave me $40 from a tip drawer. You sat on your mother's sofa and handed me coffee and asked for nothing in return. You gave me something no one in my life has ever given me. What? Nothing to prove. Joy sat down on the stair. Not from weakness. Because her legs needed a moment. She sat there and she thought about the $40. About the blue scarf. About the coffee. About the night he had said, your friend Mercy. Does she always ask before she takes? And she had wondered how he knew Mercy's name. How long have you known about Mercy? From before I moved in. Someone arranged the introduction. Someone who knew all 3 of you. Who? A sound from above. Heels on concrete. They both looked up. Jane was standing at the top of the stairs. Wearing a simple black dress. Looking down at them. Not surprised. 3 people on a staircase. 1 flickering light. Jane walked down slowly. No hurry. No apology. She sat on the step above Joy like a woman who had been waiting for this particular conversation for longer than any of them knew. You want to know if I knew, she said. Yes. I knew. Joy felt the words close around her chest. How long? Since before the beginning. Since before Victor moved in. Jane looked at Vic. She looked at him the way you look at a person you have studied for a long time. I met Victor 6 months ago. At a charity event in the city. He was standing alone by the bar wearing a suit that cost more than Mercy's rent. I walked up to him and I said, "You look like someone who is very tired of being loved for the wrong reasons." And I said, "You look like someone who understands," Vic added quietly. We talked for an hour. He told me about the test. He asked if I knew any women who might be worth watching. "And you gave him our names," Joy said. "I gave him 3 names. Yours, Mercy's, and mine." The silence on the stairs was complete. "You put yourself in the test," Vic said slowly. "I put myself everywhere. That is what you have never understood about me, Joy. You think I am quiet because I have nothing to say. I am quiet because I am watching. I have been watching for 7 years." Jane stood up. She walked down to the landing and stood face to face with Joy. "Mercy is not the villain in this story. Mercy is a distraction. She is loud and greedy and completely predictable. Everyone watches Mercy. No one watches me. And that is exactly what I needed." "Why?" Joy asked. "Because I have been invisible my entire life. And I decided that if I was going to stop being invisible, I needed something large enough to matter. I needed the truth to come out in a room where it could not be buried again." They moved to Joy's apartment. The small one. The sagging sofa. The photo of her mother on the wall. Jane sat in the chair. Vic sat on the floor with his back against the door. Joy sat in the middle of her mother's sofa and waited. "Mercy is bankrupt," Jane said. £47,000 in credit card debt. She has not paid her rent in 3 months. The eviction notice is under her bed face down. I have been keeping Mercy alive for 2 years, and she has never once said thank you. "You are her assistant," Joy said slowly. "I process her returns. I field her creditors. I tell her landlord she is traveling. I have been holding her life together while she decorated mine with small humiliations." Her voice finally cracked. "Just once. Just enough. I needed you to see her, Joy." Thursday morning arrived like a held breath. Joy wore the blue dress, the one Mercy had mocked. Vic picked her up in a black car she had never seen. German. The good kind. "I thought you were broke," she said. "The car is rented. I'm still in the basement." "For how long?" He looked at her. "That depends on you." The building had marble floors and a receptionist who did not smile. A lawyer in a gray suit met them at the lift. "Mr. Cole. The family is waiting." "What family?" Vic asked. The lawyer opened a folder. Hesitated. "Your mother. Your stepbrother. And Miss Mercy." Vic stopped walking. "Why is Mercy here?" "Your father added her to the will 6 weeks before he died. She is listed as a beneficiary. 20%. Joy grabbed Vic's arm. "She was seeing your father?" Vic's face went pale. "She was seeing my father." The lift doors opened. Mercy was standing in the hallway in a black dress and a diamond necklace that had not been borrowed. Calm. Collected. Looking at Victor like she had been waiting for this room for a very long time. "Surprise," she said. Vic looked at her the way you look at something you did not see coming but should have. "How do you know my father?" "I knew your father." Past tense. "He's gone now." "How?" Mercy tilted her head. "The same way everyone knows everyone in this city. A fundraiser. He was lonely. I had debt. We made an arrangement. He paid my rent. I kept him company. He was old Victor. Not stupid. He knew exactly what I was." The conference room was long. A table that seated 20. 6 chairs filled. The lawyer. Vic's mother on his right, gray hair pulled back, a face that had survived things. Vic on his left. Joy beside Vic, Mercy across from Joy. And at the end of the table, a man Joy had never seen before. Young. Sharp. The stepbrother. The lawyer read the will. The company went to Vic. The house went to Vic's mother. The liquid assets to charity. No mention of Mercy. "You said she was a beneficiary," Vic said to the lawyer. "She is. 20% of the personal art collection. Valued at approximately £12,000. Mercy's face went white. 12,000? "He promised me." "He promised you a lot of things," Vic's mother said quietly. "My husband was a liar. You should have known that. You spent enough time with him." "The diamond necklace," Mercy touched her throat, "is a replica. The real one is in a safe deposit box. It belongs to my son. Mercy stood so fast her chair tipped backward. You can't do this. We didn't do anything, the stepbrother said. Dad did. He left you costume jewelry and 12 grand. That's barely enough to cover your interest payments. Mercy looked at Joy. The mask was gone. The confidence. The cruelty. All of it. Underneath was just a woman in a fake necklace standing in a room full of people who had never fully liked her. You knew, Mercy whispered. Jane told me. Last night. Jane. Mercy laughed. A broken sound. Quiet. Invisible. Jane. She walked to the door. She paused. I'm sorry, Joy. For the party. For what I said. For trying to take him. That's not enough, Joy said. I know. But it's all I have right now. She left. The door closed behind her. 3 days after the will reading, Joy came home to find an envelope under her door. No name. No return address. Inside. A cashier's check for £40,000. And a note. Handwritten. Neat letter she recognized from the windscreen wiper 3 weeks ago. For the clinic. Build it in your mother's name. She remembers you, Joy. Every single day. V. Joy sat down on the floor. Not slowly. Her legs simply stopped holding her. She held the check in both hands and she did not cry immediately. She sat there for a long time in the particular silence of someone who has just been seen, really seen, for the first time in a very long while. Then she cried. Not because of the money, because someone had been paying attention. The next morning she called Vic. You did this before you came back to find me. Yes. Before you told me the truth on the stairs. Yes. So it wasn't a gesture. You weren't trying to impress me. No. Then why? A long pause. Because I watched you lock that clinic door 7 nights in a row. I watched you sit in your car for 20 minutes afterward, too tired to go upstairs. I watched you send money to a woman 3,000 miles away, and buy your lunch from a vending machine because the canteen was too expensive. And I thought, that woman is carrying more than she should have to carry alone. And I had the means to make one part of it lighter. So I did. Joy was quiet for a long time. You never told me you were watching. Would you have let me? If you had known I was watching, you would have performed strength instead of just having it. I didn't want the performance. I wanted the real thing. She looked at the check. Then at the photo of her mother on the wall. She remembers me? I called the hospital. Spoke to her nurse. Your mother asks about you every single morning. First thing. Before anything else. Joy pressed her hand over her mouth. And in the quiet of her small apartment, the sofa that sagged in the middle finally felt like enough. Jane opened a bookshop. Small. On a quiet street 2 miles from the clinic. The kind of shop that looks like it has been there for 40 years even when it has only been there for 6 months. She stocked it with the books she had been reading alone in her apartment for 7 years. The ones she had recommended to Mercy who never read them. The ones she had pressed into Joy's hands on birthday after birthday. The shop was called Scene. No one asked her why. But if they had, she would have said, because everything in here was written by someone who needed to be heard. Mercy called on the first Sunday after she left the city. Short call. Awkward. I'm at my sister's. I know. I got a job. A department store. Good. Jane. Yes. I'm sorry. For all of it. For the years of it. Jane held the phone for a moment. I know, Mercy. Do you forgive me? Jane looked out the window of the bookshop. At the street. At the people walking past carrying their own weights in their own ways. I'm working on it, she said. Call me next Sunday. And Mercy did. Every Sunday after that. Short calls at first. Then longer. The past did not come up often. They did not talk about Victor or Joy or the will reading or the gold dress or the diamond necklace that turned out to be nothing. They talked about the department store. About Mercy's sister's children. About a novel Jane had just finished. Sometimes that is what survival sounds like. Small. Ordinary. Without ceremony. Vic came into the bookshop once, on a Tuesday morning 3 weeks after it opened. Jane was behind the counter unpacking a delivery. You did good, he said. I did what made sense. That's more than most people manage. He looked around at the shelves. At the careful arrangement of a woman who had spent years paying attention to what other people loved. Thank you, Jane. For the chaos. For forcing the truth out where everyone could see it. Don't thank me. I did it for myself. I know. That's why I'm thanking you. She almost smiled. Almost. The clinic opened on a Tuesday. Not a large building. Not marble floors and a receptionist who did not smile. A small converted storefront on a quiet street. White walls. Blue chairs. A sign above the door. Joy's Place. Free care for those who need it most. Joy stood outside at 7 in the morning wearing a white coat with her name on the pocket. The first white coat she had ever owned that did not belong to someone else. Her mother arrived in a wheelchair, pushed by a nurse Joy had hired herself. The older woman looked around, looked at the sign, looked at her daughter. You did this. Joy knelt beside the wheelchair. We did this. Every shift you worked. Every sacrifice. Every time you chose me over yourself. This is yours, Mama. Not mine. Her mother touched her face. Her hands were thin. Her eyes were cloudy with the illness that had taken so much. But her voice was clear. I always remembered you, my daughter. Every single morning. First thing. Joy closed her eyes. And for the first time in 10 years she cried without holding back. Vic stood at the back of the room. Not gray now. Not performing. A blue sweater soft from washing. The old watch. The same eyes, the ones that had learned to look without hunger. He watched Joy with her mother. He did not interrupt. He did not approach. He simply watched the way a person watches something they know they do not deserve and are grateful for anyway. His mother appeared beside him. She's good, she said. She's the best person I've met in 10 years. Your father would have hated her. I know. That's how I know she's right. That evening Joy and Vic sat on the roof of her building. The one with the laundromat. The flickering light. The alley with the dumpster and the fence. The city spread out below them. Lights blinking. Traffic moving. Lives being lived. Joy held a cup of gas station coffee. The same kind he had brought her that first evening. You don't have to stay in the basement anymore, she said. I know. You can live anywhere. Buy anything. I know. So why are you still here? He turned to her. The city lights reflected in his eyes. Because here is the only place I have ever been loved for the right reasons. You handed me $40 from a drawer of tips and asked for nothing. You looked at me in a basement and saw a man. Not a project. Not a plan. Just a man. She set down her coffee. Then stopped pretending. Stop testing. Stop performing poverty and performing wealth and performing everything. Just be the person who knocked on my door with 2 cups of coffee. And what should I do instead? Stay. That's it. That's everything. He kissed her. Not a movie kiss. A quiet one. A kiss that said I'm sorry and thank you and I'm not going anywhere. When they pulled apart, Joy was smiling. One more question, she said. What? The very first text. The one that told Mercy you were not broke. Jane admitted to the others. But she never admitted to that one. Vic went still. What are you saying? I'm saying someone else was watching, Victor. Someone else knew about the test before Jane ever met you at that charity event. The city lights blinked below them. And somewhere across town, in a penthouse on the 23rd floor, a phone buzzed. A woman with gray hair and a face that had survived things picked it up. She read the message. She smiled. Phase complete, Victor's mother whispered. He chose her. Just as I planned. She deleted the message. She poured a glass of wine. And she watched the city lights blink below her window. Some tests are designed by the people we least expect. Some tests are passed by the people we underestimate. And some tests reveal not the person being watched but the person doing the watching. Joy never found out who sent that first text. Vic never asked. Some questions are better left where they are. The clinic grew. Patients came. Joy's mother lived another 2 years. Long enough to see her daughter build something. Long enough to hold her grandchildren. Mercy called every Sunday. Short at first. Then longer. She never came back to the city. But she came back in the ways that mattered. Jane ran the bookshop. Quietly. Purposefully. The way she did everything. And Vic? Vic sold the company. Gave half to his mother. Gave a quarter to the charity his father had hated. And every morning he walked upstairs. He knocked on Joy's door. He was holding 2 cups of coffee, one black, one with milk. And every morning she opened the door. She smiled. She said, "You didn't have to." He said, "I know." If this story found you at the right moment, leave a comment. Tell me which part hit you hardest. Was it the $40 from the tip drawer? Was it Jane sitting on the stairs and finally being seen? Was it the mother in the wheelchair reading the sign above the door? Tell me. And tell me where in the world you are watching from tonight. If you know someone who is being a mercy right now, share this. Not to accuse them, to warn them. Because the thing about testing other people is this. The test always comes back around. And when it does not care how expensive your dress was. Subscribe. Stay close. There is more where this came from. He pretended to have nothing. 3 women showed him exactly who they were. And the one who loved him with nothing inherited everything. Not because the universe is sentimental. Because love that costs something is the only love that actually holds.